There's nothing more humbling and inspiring
and attractive
than witnessing somebody be truly and uniquely exceptional.
Except, of course, for their journeys. Maybe it's luck.
Maybe it's genetics.
Maybe it's work ethic.
Scott and I wanted to see if we could discover what makes some of the universe's most incredible humans the successes they've become, and ultimately find out exactly how they became
So good.
So good. How did you do it? How did you do it? You're so good.
Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode of You're So Good. Today we have the amazing E.G. Daily, an iconic voice actress, comedian, singer, best known for voicing Tommy Pickles in Nickelodeon's Rugrats and Buttercup and Cartoon Network's The Powerpuff Girls, and a million other iconic roles. Today she's going to tell us all about her journey, so here we go. Oh my gosh, we're rolling. Hi. Y'all, we have the coolest guest today ever. First of all, I'm Scott.
I'm Rozzi.
And this is, you're so good.
You're
And we
so
have
good.
the coolest guest ever today. I'm actually a huge fan.
Yeah.
We have E.G. Daily, voice actress, singer extraordinaire.
Yes, welcome.
Yay.
We're so excited to have you.
Thanks, guys.
This is so cool. My bandmate Mitch, I was like, so we have this guest that was like the voice of Tommy Pickles and Buttercup and blah. And he was like, E.G. Daily?
Yeah,
he was like,
yeah.
everyone knows E.G. Daily. I was like,
Wait a minute. You guys harmonized. That just rocks my world.
Thank you. Thank you so much. No, this is so cool. Where do we start?
I know there's so much to say. I mean, you're like, what's cool about you as a guest is basically this podcast is about people who are really great at something. Like we bring people on who are exceptionally amazing at something and find out how they did it. But what's fun and challenging about you is you have so many fields. Like you're a singer, you're a voice actress, you're an actress. Like you're like I was like there's just so much we could
Bring
go
it
into.
on. Bring it on.
We got time. She got here early, so we can go.
We're ready.
We can go overtime today.
Well, actually, the first time I ever saw you was on Friends because
Oh.
I am I literally think I could win a world competition of Friends trivia. Like I literally could like do your dialogue and you sitting on the couch like I just hoping, I wonder, like I know it. Like I'm such a fan.
That's crazy. I love that.
Anyway, got that.
Where should we? Okay, so after that, where should we start?
Okay, well,
Should we-
you're most famous for Pickles,
Being a-
probably.
Tommy Pickles?
Tommy
Yeah.
Pickles,
Buttercup.
and Buttercup,
Buttercup,
honestly.
maybe.
For
And
the
maybe,
gays, it was probably Buttercup.
I never,
Is Buttercup?
Yeah, for me.
For the gays,
I actually
yeah.
had a lot of really big top like number one like I had a Say It was a big dance hit, and that was a
Oh, wow.
I had a large, I was always doing gay prides, and I traveled all
my
over doing
gosh.
every gay pride festival.
You
I did
get cooler every second.
I know.
We're
I did
10 minutes in.
That was my favorite thing. Like I did
Whoa.
every gay pride festival, and I did like I went and sang "Say It" all over the world.
Oh,
my
no, that's
God.
so cool.
Yeah,
I
the gay
wanna
community
hear
was
it.
my,
I
you know.
know. Let's definitely
Pause
do
this
it.
podcast and go listen to
Yeah,
Say It.
yeah, no, I was listening this morning. It's so fun. I love
Yeah, it's
it.
a fun
But
song.
I
That's so
thought,
cool.
did you play on SNL?
I did, yeah.
You've had like a whole career.
Yeah. I mean,
Like what year did it like really start
When did it
popping
start?
off?
How did you start? How did this all begin?
I think when I was about 8 years old, my mother got me a commercial agent. I probably would have never done that. Like my best friend was this beautiful little girl named Michelle, and she was beautiful. She looked like Brooke Shields. And so she was my best friend. So her mom had her in some commercial agent. And my mom was this Tunisian French Jew refugee from like Europe who came here in a trailer. And
my
they lived
God.
in one room behind a
Did
house.
you grow up in LA?
I grew up in LA, but when they moved here from Europe, they had my brother and my sister already in Europe. Then they moved here and lived literally in one room in the back of a guest house behind a house, in one of those little beach houses in Venice. They had one room.
Wow.
So like I didn't come from like I want to stay on what we were talking about before. What was the thing we were? Because
I was asking like what started.
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
So
I'm
what
in a
happened?
trance, I'm so
what happened was I
fascinated.
didn't have any. I didn't have any like connections, and I did have this friend that I grew up with and went to elementary school with, and she was my best friend. And her mom got her agents, and my mom was like, I think my mom was just had this fantasy for herself
Yeah.
to be this like French, Tunisian, North African Jew lady who moved over here from Europe and then becomes something really special. My mom is like such a superstar in her own way.
Yeah.
Like she's so. Ask Asia. I mean,
Yeah.
she's magnificent. She's an incredible woman. She's built. At 80 years old, she built a strip mall. Like she was the contractor on this,
Wow.
walking around with a pink hard hat, and she's incredible. So I think there was a passion in her to make something like shine huge, and she saw that in me. And so if it wasn't for her, I don't know if I would have done it. I
Yeah.
probably would have been a veterinarian or like
Yeah.
something having to do with animals but I was good at dancing and I was good at singing, and I started playing guitar and, singing really young. But she had me going on these commercial auditions, which I didn't book one, not for years,
Really?
8, 9 years, 10 years.
have
Now,
commercial
did you?
Yeah, and I didn't book one. I
Not
booked
one.
an extra.
God,
and
all I
one
wanted was a
maybe
stage
once.
mom, and y'all had stage
I had
moms.
We had stage moms.
She let me miss one. Like, she would literally pull me out of school to go to an audition.
Yeah.
Never booked any, and I was like, well, I guess this is how it works. You just never book them.
You just
and
never
that's
booked
part of the
anything.
thing.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, but it's not. You're supposed to thrive.
You're supposed to thrive.
Yeah. So, hello.
What was the first
Hello?
huge thing you booked? Like,
Yeah. So the first thing I booked was while I was in high school. I booked a Laverne and Shirley episode,
oh, cool.
and I played the leader of the Angora Debs with Laverne and Shirley. So that was
God.
like really cool. And I worked really hard on that audition. And I was like a little punky girl. And the next thing I booked was like a Chips and a Fame. And I was like, they had a series of Fame, and I was this recurring character named Smokey who sang.
That's so cool.
So it was
You
really
got that
cool.
smoky voice.
Yeah,
Did you
a little
always have that?
No, if you heard me in that, I didn't have it smoky.
really?
But it did get smoky with the years of singing and using
Yeah.
my voice. But I can also I can push past that and make it like sweet.
I have so many technical questions for you, and
Yeah.
like, I don't want to. We're jumping all over the place because
Yeah,
you're
that's
so
okay. Just
interesting.
flow with it.
But like that, what you just said, like you can literally do different voices for different
Yeah,
people.
I do.
As a singer, that's amazing to me because, of course, like I have certain control over tone or like
Yeah.
Yeah.
breath or whatever. Like,
Sure.
but like. Can you talk about how you do that? Like literally go from one voice to another? Like what is that process?
I
like?
think it starts with my ability to hear. Like, I'm a singer, so I'm like you. So I kind of hear tone and I hear voices like a song.
Yeah.
So I don't see things like normal people. You just hear a voice. I literally look at voices from a totally different perspective of like, I look at people's teeth and their tongues and their lips and their mouths and their jaws and their faces. And I look at things like in a weird way, and then I'm able to say like, the way that girl's teeth hit her, the way her teeth are shaped or they hit her lips, she sort of talks like here up in her mouth, right in the front of her
Wow.
teeth.
So you're just like
And
an expert at
And
like,
then like a kid with braces would be, okay, he's a little husky, he's a little chunky. So, and if he has braces, so then he sort of has this husk. And then he's sort of like this chunky kid who really likes his brother, but he doesn't care if his brother likes him. So it's like,
Wow,
so you
that's so cool.
get more of yourself. And so to me, it's just a weird absorbing things differently than most people do. And I think it's the ability to imitate a sound like a singer.
yeah.
You know, like you can do a riff, like you can
Yeah.
go, you can go, "Ooh," or whatever.
Right.
You go, "Ooh." So if I hear something, I'm just like, oh, that's, "Ooh." That's not like, ooh.
Right.
Or, it's like I
Right.
can just go, oh, that's what that thing is, and just kind of mimic it. So that's
Right.
like a
Brain
big part of
works.
why voiceover worked for me is like, because I could mimic,
Totally.
imitate.
wow. Is your singing voice, do you feel like it's a character you created, or do you feel like your singing voice is like authentically how you just sing?
I think my singing voice is a combination of me absorbing so many people when I was
Yeah,
young.
honestly same. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Interesting.
Like I was really fascinated with Rod Stewart and Tina Turner and some of the more raspy tone voices because I did have an ability my voice has a raspy tone, but the weird thing about my voice, because when I was on The Voice, they commented on the fact that my voice had this raspy thing about it, but it also had this ability to go up and do really pretty things.
Right.
And so, I think I just really absorbed what I love the most about voices, and then my voice took all of those and calculated into what became my sound.
Yourself. Awesome. I love
Yeah.
that.
Wow. Were you did you discover this at a young age? Like, were you a little kid doing voices?
Yeah, as a matter of fact. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, when I was really young, walking around the playground with Michelle, I've told this story a million times, we would hold pinkies. They thought we were lesbian then too.
It's like me and Teddy.
You and Teddy.
Not at
best
that point. Not yet. Anyway, so we'd walk around the playground and hold pinkies, and I would literally, we would do these little baby voices. And we would be like, oh, Michelle, that boy is stupid. Let's take his water away from him. We would just
Oh my gosh.
we would literally
Whoa.
just
Whoa.
walk around and do funny voices and oh, let's go kick Farshid's ass. We would just do.
Okay. What grade was this? I'm having a weird flashback that I haven't
was
thought about in years.
that
And I
was
know
you?
this is about you, but in third grade, my
were a bully?
two friends and I, no, my two friends.
Where's this going?
Yes. No, my two friends and I, we did baby voices sometimes.
Really?
I swear.
What is this
and you're a singer.
connection?
But
Well, it
was-
has something to do with the voice, and it has something to do with your ability to use the voice. So later, you know, that voice that I would do like a little kid voice, like, you know, I would do these little voices, and all of a sudden I go to this voice audition. Well, cut back to like I chose to do a play. Like they had this play on Broadway called Tansy.
Yeah.
And it was starred on Broadway with Deborah Harry. And so it folded after 3 days. It was like this big production company and they had this huge set and it folded. And then I get a call from this guy, Bruce something, and he's like, hey, are you interested in doing a musical? We need somebody little, athletic, petite who can sing.
Yeah.
It's the lead of this play and it just folded on Broadway and we're shipping the sets to LA. And I was like, do I get to sing? You know, because all I cared about at that moment was that I didn't have to pay to put a band together because I was like young. I was
Right.
like, I lived in my own apartment. I was paying my bills. So it was like putting a band together was a bitch because you had to, the musicians wanted to get paid and I didn't have the money to do that. So I was like, do I get to sing? And he's like, yeah, it's a musical. I'm like, do I have to put the band together? And he's like, no, we do it all. It's a pro play.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then he tells me, you have to train to be a female wrestler. And I was like, cool, I'll do it. No problem.
Sick. I was like,
Like
hell yeah.
I didn't think anything about it until I got to the wrestling ring months before the show. And there was like the first woman champion wrestler of the world. She was like 80, sitting in a chair. And there was the state champion wrestler at the time, this girl named Sonia. And she was this little feisty Latin, amazing woman. And the young girl got in the ring and started teaching me how to do this. And it wasn't easy because you have to do these belly flops and head mares and jump from the third row down and you have to flip and roll and take a man bigger than your size and flip them over, but learn how to flip them over. And I was just like,
Is that physically possible?
yeah, it is. And a lot of it is a technically staged sort of thing.
Right.
All that wrestling is, but you have to know what you're doing. So after like 3 weeks of that and my neck being so crimped and my back being I was so hurting, like muscularly hurting because it was so strenuous that I was crying like, I don't think I could do this. This is too much for me. Like, what did I get myself into? I just wanted to be singing, you know?
Yeah.
The whole thing was so crazy. And then, you know, I pushed past that.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
was one of the
that's the
greatest
thing.
things I could ever done because there was that moment I wanted to quit.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
pushed past it. And then the play ended up being really popular at this theater. And it was an equity waiver theater. And, you know, so there was no pay. And then it became so well known. It got all these great reviews. So not only did I win like best musical performer, best actress, best this, best that,
Wow.
then some guy came to my play from my acting class that like was so fucking hot. Can I say that?
Yeah,
Yes,
you
you
can
can
say
say
fuck all
He
you
was
want.
so hot. And I was like, oh my God, that guy came to my play, that fucking hot guy from my class came to my play. And I was in this acting class with like Michelle Pfeiffer,
my
Nick Cage,
God.
Sean Penn, Crispin
Oh
Glover. It was
my
like a
gosh.
kick-ass acting, Meg Ryan,
Yeah.
Meg Tilly. It was like a crazy group of
my
us in this
God.
one acting class, Peggy Furie's. But this one actor guy was there and he was so handsome. I was like, oh my God, he's just so handsome. And he showed up at the play and then the play ended up, he ended up coming to the play and I fell in love with him and he, you know, wooed me and I ended up dating him.
Who is
that,
he?
That later was John Eric Hexum, the beautiful actor who shot himself in the head.
God.
Yeah, it was a crazy story, but it was a magical, it was a very
Wow.
magical thing.
How
but
long were you guys together?
I was with them year and a half before he died. That was up until he passed away.
so sorry.
It was crazy, but I was young and it was a little
Yeah.
crazy and overwhelming. But the point is like everything happened. Like I fell in love from that play, and then
yes.
the play moved to the theater, and it became an equity theater, and I started getting paid, and then it started to be such a like popular thing, and then all these record labels came,
Yeah.
and then it was like opening night at the theater, the main theater, after we'd done test audiences there at the Roxy. It was standing room only. It was like massive press, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, this." You know, and I got a massive record deal that night, opening night, and I got another guy handed me his card and was like, you know, here, you should call me. I'm a voice agent, and you're really good with your voices. Because
Yeah.
I had to. And the play was about a wrestler, so I had to be a different age each round. So I started as a baby. I was
my
like
God.
a baby, like you know,
Oh
baby.
my God,
And
that
then
blew me away.
and then you're a pentatonic, don't you? Talk about it. And so then, you know, it was just like you know, the guy was like, you do these kid voices, like you're really good. And then he said, I want to rep you. And I was like, huh. You know, I didn't think anything of it because I was like, I'm not a cartoon, or I never thought about that. But I was like, okay, well, I'll meet with you. And I met with him and he goes, go on this audition. And I was like, I think I went on one audition for a radio commercial. You know, those radio, Corey Hart, the new album on EMI, one of those. Wow. So I just remember like imitating it. I was like, well, they kind of do it like the news. Tonight on Fox, will he get the game? We'll see tomorrow night coming up on Fox. Yeah. You know, it was like they had these weird rhythms. Again, it was very melodic to me, so I just mimicked. And I booked that commercial, and then the next thing he said, I want you to go on a cartoon audition. I was like, cartoon? So he sent me on this one audition. I almost didn't go because they were remodeling they were doing carpet in my apartment. Yeah. And I was like, I can't go on this one because I don't want to leave all these workers here. And he's like, just go. It's a good thing. And I was like, no, I can't go on this one, but I'll get you on the next one. He's like, no, just go on it. So I finally was like, okay, guys, I'll be right back. I'm just going to the corner. I'll be right back. But really, I knew I was going to be gone an hour. Yeah. And I went there, and I was the first person in, and I read, and I'd never been on a cartoon audition before. Oh, my God.
What is a cartoon audition like?
And they showed me a little claymation of the character and a picture of the character.
Okay.
Wow.
And then they were like, we're looking for the voice of this character. And I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden, it all came back to me. It was like, wow. He's got floppy lips. It sounds like that little kid I used to do when I was little, like a lot of that kind of voice. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. I didn't think twice about it. I literally looked at the claymation and I was like, a baby's gotta do what a baby gotta do. Going on your diaper. We're going in. Okay, Farshid, get away from that water fountain and kick your ass, like all that just came.
That made me like a little bit emotional. Yeah. I'm not kidding because I've seen every episode. Obviously. Yeah. And that was like really, really intense for me. That was
oh my God.
Yeah, it was really magical. And then I left because I was in a hurry to get out there.
Were they like, did they give you a sign that they
Well,
loved you?
I'd never been on one, so I didn't know. But what happened was I was in the booth, and then there was one producer and the engineer, and then they said, just hold on a minute. And then they brought another person in. They said, hold on a minute. They kept bringing people in. I thought that was normal. Right. I just thought that's what they do. And then I was like, I gotta go because I have people working in my house. Yeah. So then I ran out of there, and then there were a lot of other people reading. And then later that day, my agent was like, oh, they really liked you for that, Now, here's the trivia behind that. Mm-hmm. There was another girl who did all the first season of Rugrats. And so what happened was, I guess the creators and all I guess it wasn't the right voice that they
wanted. Does that happen a lot?
It happens sometimes.
Shows? Yeah.
It happens a lot.
Yeah.
And so they were like, they wanted to replace the voice. So I had to come in, here's where my ear really worked for me. And I had to redub all those episodes. Wow. So now they had already animated them to her voice.
Oh my God.
So, but it was so great because she would say, a baby's got to do what a baby's got to do. Like whatever her voice was. And I'd go, a baby's got to do what a baby got to do. I would just do it as Tommy. So I just mimicked her tone the whole way through. And then I just put my voice on it.
But you put that little extra thing.
I did my Tommy thing, yeah. And so it was really cool. And that's how Tommy Pickles
that
came
is
about.
so crazy.
That's the coolest story ever.
So the moral of the story
Everything you just
is...
said in the last 20 minutes is like just proves that you're maybe the most interesting person.
Wow. So the moral of the story is like, if you love something, make it happen because magic happens from that.
That's I got chills. That is so true.
But that's true.
Truest
I
thing.
wanted to sing, and so I said yes to a play that I didn't give a shit about the play. I really cared that I was going to be singing, and that's where my passion led. And then they said they would make it happen, and then I pushed myself past the pain and ache for that moment when I knew the wrestling thing was cool, but I was still scared. Right. Like I was afraid I was hurting myself, but I knew that it was going to be okay. Right. And I pushed past that, and all that had a huge result at the end of it.
One of the things that I say to people, like when they're first starting out and they ask me for some kind of advice, I'm always like, say yes
to everything.
Say yes.
Do gigs, things that feel authentic to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like things that you would enjoy.
Yeah, and when you get a little bit more established, like then maybe you kind of hone in on your identity.
You say yes. I tell my kids that all the time.
Say yes.
Like my daughter was like, oh, but the manager's saying maybe it's not going to be that great of a thing. I'm like, you do it.
Yeah.
You don't have anything else. You do that
like
thing.
When my first jobs, I was a background singer for Sergio Mendes and Don Henley. And to be totally honest, I had never heard of Sergio Mendes when I was like 19, and he's from Brazil 66.
Don Henley and Sergio Mendes, huge.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Huge. And I was just like, my professor was like, do you want to audition for this? And I was like, I don't speak Portuguese. He's like, that's fine. And then I ended up being my first tour, traveling Europe, and it's like that was. And then
you never know.
You never know. You just
really
gotta say yes to stuff.
You do. You say yes. And also, I read that book. Was it Shonda Rhimes? Might have written that book. Say yes. Something about yes.
Yeah, she said yes. Like
and
every
that lady
day.
is unbelievable. Yeah, her
She's
game
amazing.
was. You guys haven't read it? Read it. It's Shonda Rhimes, I think, and it's about saying yes. Mm-hmm. And I think her sister recommended she say yes to everything, start saying yes, because she was kind of grumpy and not really progressing. And sometimes, yes to change, yes to moving out of your comfort zone. It's like it really does change your life in dramatic ways. Like things start happening. Like it's dramatic.
If you stop making excuses.
Yeah,
that's
it really.
That's the trick.
And it's scary because like I just made a big change, a career thing where I left some rep that I've had my whole career.
Oh, wow.
And it was really scary because they've been my family.
Yeah.
They've been my comfort zone. And part of me was like, I don't want to leave them. I've been with them for so many years. They were the ones that started my career. They
Right.
made it happen for me. There was all this loyalty there, which I'm all about loyalty, but I wasn't thriving anymore.
Yeah.
It was very stagnant.
Sometimes things run their course.
I didn't feel happy there. I didn't go into that office feeling really happy. I felt kind of like there was some negative energy that I'm not all about. I'm about good energy. And
Right.
I didn't feel comfortable. And I just felt like it was not good for my self-esteem. I was like, I want to walk in and have people
And that's
greet
everything.
me like you guys did when I walked in.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. Like it should not be where you're around anyone, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband. We're there treating like they could care less. There should be
true.
magic there. Like
This
you
is
said
so
about your
true.
boy fiance. I should. When you
boyfriend.
said like that's because I'm in love, and it's like, how long has that been? I asked because. You said it's been 2 years. Now that's the way it should be. It was like, it's been 2 years. It wasn't like,
Feels
oh, he's a
fresh.
pain in my ass. I just can't wait to get his ass out of here. It was like beautiful. And so, yeah, you have to constantly either reinvent things or push yourself to grow more or
100%.
push yourself to know each other more, but never to settle. Like,
So
Yes.
true.
And it's
Yeah.
cool that you could break through in that way because like I find that like sometimes when I'm around negative energy, my self-esteem goes down without me noticing. That's the darkest part.
Very
I don't
dangerous.
even realize
Yeah, it's
that
really
I'm
dangerous.
sad. It's dangerous. And then you have this revelation one day where you're like, who am I anymore? And like
Right.
that,
Really dangerous.
creating those new normals for yourself is like scary.
Yeah.
That's very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, it's all that. And then it goes back to all that historical stuff of like low self-esteem from when you were a kid or when you felt bullied. And then you bring that into the moment today, and all of a sudden you're like acting like you're worth nothing. And you're like, wait, why am I feeling that way about myself? Like this is very old historic stuff that's happening right
Right.
now that I'm having these feelings. And then you have to like, okay, wait a minute, let me get present here. This is who I am. This is what I've done. This is the kind of person I am. I like myself.
Yeah.
Fuck that person who is
Yeah.
treating me that way.
100%.
Yes.
Later.
You are the best aunt. Oh my God, Asia.
I wish
so
you were my
lucky. All right, you guys, that's the end of Ugh, You're So Good, Part 1 with E.G. Daily. We'll be back next time with Part 2.